Cuckoo. We're Isabel and Kim, girlfriends living in France and chatting about everything going on in our lives. Come hang out with us while we cheers with an Aperol Spritz, swap stories, and get into some deep talks and share what we've learned along the way. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at cuckoo.pod and leave us a review and subscribe if you are liking our podcast so far.
Yay.
Hi, Kim.
Hi. So I love our outfits today.
I know. We are matching. We're both Suzanne fangirls.
And actually, you told me to buy this dress because it was too short for you because you're taller than me.
Yes. So
And
I
you
can't
have the
wear the
long
short.
version.
I have the long version. Kim has a short one. I can't wear if you're tall, the short Suzanne dresses
It's
are
actually even short on me, and I'm
very
5'3".
short.
Yes.
But I actually bought that dress originally in black. It's so cute in
Oh,
black
I bet
too.
it's cute in black. I might need to get
But it
that.
was so short. And then I
Yes.
saw it in this, and I was like,
It looks so
good. I
good.
even bought. They have this as a bathing suit too, and I
The
got
bathing
that
suit
too.
looks super cute. Okay, so
I have a problem.
those of you in the U.S., you can still shop Suzanne. They have
Yes.
a few boutique stores, but you can shop online.
This is not sponsored. We
we were just
love
excited.
them. Okay, so we actually did something really fun last Thursday
Yes, so
together.
fun.
Do you want to tell them where we went?
Yes, we went to Tarugo. Am I
Yeah.
pronouncing it right? So Isabel, you had been a few times last year.
Yep.
It's like this gorgeous lavender field
Mm-hmm.
every Thursday night, and they have music, and they put out like mats, and everyone gets there's food trucks and bottles of rosé.
Yeah,
and
they
a
have you can
cocktail
get
bar.
wine, cocktails. They have a big grill and they do like sausages on it.
Oh, which were delicious.
It was really
So
fun.
good.
It's just it's one of those places that's just so nice because it's so family friendly and
Yes.
everyone comes with their family, with their dog.
Yep,
The
and their
kids can kind of run wild.
Totally.
And you see every age of child there.
Yeah, and even,
from infant to 15-year-olds.
for sure.
So it was just so much fun. And it was actually something funny happened while we were there. There was a woman,
Oh,
two women actually filming for TF1, which is like a
Local
TV channel.
news.
And we may or may not make an appearance if we don't get cut. But I'm so awkward in that kind of stuff.
Well, you
because-
hid. You left
No,
me alone.
I can't. I know.
I literally had to
I
call you
can't.
out. She runs to her husband, and I'm like, no. I'm not doing this alone.
But I don't know. They get the camera so
Oh, well, I know. It
close
was
in your
very
face
close.
and circling it around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, what's going on? It's very distracting for me.
And I was just glad I said I can't do this in French.
Yeah, I was so glad you said that too.
I'm sorry.
because
I could have
honestly,
muddled
I
my way
couldn't have
through,
done it
but
in French.
you
and
could have done it in French.
No, I
Mine would have
couldn't
been
because
muddling
I think I'd had 1.5 drinks, and
I'd probably had about the same at that point.
I don't know.
I feel like my French maybe gets better after 2 glasses of rosé.
Maybe when I'm tired, nothing helps.
Okay,
Nothing
fair
helps.
enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so that was really fun. So if
Yes.
if you're coming this summer, they're open all summer long.
Yes.
I think until September. But they also do, I've never done it, but they do these dinners in
I
the
saw that
lavender
online. It
field where
looks
they
so
put this
pretty.
big long table and a chef comes in. It's kind of expensive, but I think it would be
Amazing.
such a fun night if you're here for the summer, or you can book to come. You have to buy tickets ahead of time to these Thursday night aperos, and I think they have something on Friday night too.
And
But
it's really pretty inexpensive. It's €7 and kids are
Yep.
free. So definitely
Yeah,
worth
it's
it. We're
really
not,
fun.
and this is also not sponsored. I think we just must love some of the same things.
And the lavender hasn't bloomed yet.
No,
but
it's close.
It's really close. I
Yeah.
honestly think by next week or when you're going in a
Yes,
couple weeks,
in
I
a
think
few
it will be
weeks.
bloomed, and it's so pretty, just so purple. And
I
you can
can't
even go
wait.
during the day and do a soap making class. Maybe we can do that with the
Oh,
girls.
that'd be fun. We should do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Fun.
right. So what are we talking about today?
So it's a little new format today. So we were kind of excited to have our listeners write in with questions for us on any kind of advice that people are going through in their lives. And thank you to everyone who has written in. They were some amazing questions, and obviously people grappling with a lot of same life issues and things that
Yes.
we've been through, or can at least offer some sort of advice on from our past. So we're gonna jump in, and the format's
Okay.
gonna be Isabel's gonna read the questions, and then we will both
We'll
do our
talk
best
it
to
out.
answer.
And if we're terrible advice, guys, just let us know and we won't do this
And this
again.
will be our last one. But for now, we were having fun with it and enjoyed the questions.
Okay, so the first question is, I really like this one. How to find yourself again after giving birth. You used to have your life, career, goals, body all under control, and now little humans take control of everything without any rational inputs. I am lost.
Oh, it's so hard.
Been there.
Done that twice.
Maybe still there. I don't know. But this is really hard.
This is really hard. And it's totally normal, by the way, to feel this way. Every mom, I think, goes through at least some phase of this after
For
having a baby.
sure.
Maybe you can just talk about Luis. You were in Paris. Like it's like a totally different, out of your comfort zone, probably a little bit. Or at that point you were.
I feel like it was like, I don't know. It was COVID.
Okay.
So I was so like secluded from the world, but I think it maybe would have been the same in the US. I think the thing that helped me the most was realizing that like you're never going to be the same
For sure.
version of who you were before. And I think especially that like first year or two, you're constantly comparing to like what your life
was before. Yes.
And I felt like that wasn't super helpful for me because then I'd be like, oh, like I
used to do this. I used to have freedom to do this.
Yeah. And I remember like especially when I was breastfeeding, so, you know, you spend
you're, like,
so
attached.
much time just like breastfeeding like, all day, side.
Yeah.
And I kept like, I would kind of have these daydreams in my head of like when I was like back in New York with all my friends and like all the fun stuff we used to do. And sometimes I would like listen to like fun music that remind me of like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you can really like have all those other things like once you have kids, but it takes a long time to come back, and it's going to be like a new, better version of yourself.
Sure,
don't you think?
Sure. I totally agree. And I think it's easy to get caught up in like the days seem really long and hard, and the nights are even worse, like especially with the newborn.
Yes.
Like I remember dreading the nights, and like
Oh,
I
me
would be
too. Like that fear.
yes,
that
it's
like after
it's
dinner
coming.
panic.
Oh
of,
my
like,
God,
what's
it's like
gonna
what's going to happen
tonight?
tonight, and how bad is it going to be? And it's like the worst feeling.
Yeah.
So but I think what I didn't realize that I realize now is like it's actually. I hate when people say this, and I hate when people said it to me, but it's like, it actually like once it's over-ish, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like what? Like I don't even remember it.
It's like a fever dream.
It's like, but I did the same thing as you, where like I would be sitting and like breastfeeding, like watching something on the like the chair or couch. And I remember there was like this repeating commercial, and they were advertising. It was probably like a horrible casino, but they like had like people by the pool, like partying, and there was like a band. And I'm like, I would do anything
to be at like a
there.
day party.
Oh my gosh, a day drinking pool party. I was like, it looks like a dream. And then I was sitting there, you know, I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, 2 hours for a nap. And, you know, it's like, you're kind of like counting down, and then
like you're waiting for something.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I will say the first time we went to Mexico for a wedding, and we had that day of like drinking cocktails in the pool, and it was so much fun. And I think this is the other thing I realized after having kids. You don't need so many things to feel like to fill that like part of your life. You can have like one fun night or one thing a month even, and you still feel
totally
like you've had a little bit of your old self. But I really think that the new version you grow into is the better version of yourself.
I agree.
And for me personally, I think I'm way, way, way more efficient.
Yes.
And I'm always thinking like, oh my gosh, if I had all this drive and whatever, my 20s, I would have been like, my life would have been so
really
different.
Totally.
And I thought I was always so busy then. And I'm like, what was I doing?
Yes. I
just
feel
like
the same way.
Lollygagging around New York City. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And now I can get done like these incredible to-do lists, like bam, 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 because you're on this, you know, you have limited time.
Sure.
So you're way more efficient.
Yes.
I think that becoming a mom also, you sort of just like, a lot of these things you connect back to from when you were younger, and things sort of come full circle.
Yeah.
And you get this new confidence too.
Yes. No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I mean, not right away, because I feel like at the beginning, like for me, I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. And I felt like really lost.
Yeah.
And then like the thought of like going back to work, like that's always like hanging over you. Like I have limited time, you know, with my baby. And then I'm like, how am I going to do this from an office? And so like, I always there was like a lot of like, I would say fear of the unknown, of like how it's all going to fit together. But to your point, like, you get really good at like making it work, and you just kind of like have to get yourself into the mode of like, I would say like being more planful is also something. Like every time you have an outing, like you kind of have to know, like, I've got to pack this, this, and this for the baby, and like think ahead of like, okay, are they going to need a nap? Like what time do we need to be back? But like, you're just more thoughtful and planful, which I think helps you in the future become like
for sure
a better version of yourself.
Yes.
But I know it's hard at the beginning to like see that light at the end of the tunnel, because it just feels overwhelming.
So like if I was going to give someone like easy advice for when you're in the thick of it, one, like remember it's all a phase, and each phase passes, and it feels like you'll never forget it, but you sort of do.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one for me was always like the sleep.
Yes.
When you haven't had sleep, you're just not yourself.
No.
it doesn't matter if you don't have a kid or not. When you
Right.
haven't slept for a consecutive, like for long amounts of
Yes,
times,
it
which
really-
happens when you have children, you're not yourself. You're not making the decisions you would normally make. If you can even do, like, I always found I didn't even need that much sleep to recover a bit,
Same.
but it was just consecutive sleep.
Yes. Like
it was
4 hour stretch is like
like-
enough for me.
See, for me, that was like never enough. Like my
Okay.
problem was I would sleep like 4 hours, 2 hours,
Oh,
1
yeah.
hour,
Yeah,
3
no,
hours. But when I could get like 6 hours in a row,
Oh,
at the
that's like
beginning,
a real dream.
it
but-
was like a game changer. So if you're
Yeah.
really struggling, like swap with your partner,
Yeah.
see if you can sleep in another bedroom, or even if you can like run up to a friend, anything, like any
Anything.
little escape, even
Yes.
just that one night of sleep, I swear can
Yes.
sometimes change your life.
for sure.
Do you have anything
Yes,
else that you would add?
I would say my things are like, don't be too hard on yourself. Like I remember
Yes.
being so hard on myself. Like I could never produce enough milk, and I felt like I was like failing as a
Yeah.
mom, and like it's all gonna be okay. And I know people like said that at the time, but you like kind of, I was like really down on myself. Or every time I looked in the mirror, I'd be like, oh my gosh, when is this baby weight gonna come up? Like it's just, I was like so hard on myself,
Yep.
and I feel like that was actually preventing me from just being like a better version of myself, because it was really like I would just say be nice to yourself. And then my second thing would be like just try to do like little things for yourself, even if it's
Yes.
10 minutes. Like I remember like even just like taking the baby like on a walk. I actually brought my baby to like a nail salon once and like had my nails, and I just even felt like
You were
a
doing
little
something.
doing something for myself, and it just was a nice break. So don't be afraid to like, you don't have to give up every old thing that you used to enjoy. Like you can find little pieces that I think will just help make you feel better.
And I actually have one more.
Okay.
I have two more actually. So
Okay.
I feel like there's so much about becoming a mom that your husband can't
Yeah,
really
for
relate to. So the best thing is if you can find someone else who had a baby around the same time,
Yes,
whether it's
a
one of your
friend.
friends, even
Yeah.
if it's like a friend that you haven't
Mine
kept
was
so
like
much
a neighbor. I
in
just
touch with,
met
like
her
find
and- yeah.
someone that has a child
Totally.
the same age, because then you have that outlet to talk about like exactly what's going
Yes.
on. And our bodies are so connected to our babies that I just
Yeah.
feel like there's certain things that your husband will never understand the same
Totally.
way. Like they can be there and present and so helpful and
Yeah.
still not
Yeah.
be maybe the perfect partner to talk about some of these more like
I
women
agree.
issues. So having that outlet
Yes.
of someone to
And
talk
there's like
to,
mom groups.
mom
totally.
groups,
Those
even
are
if it's like
awesome.
online, there's so many like
Oh, I know.
Reddit
just
things
like totally.
or what to expect when you're
Yeah.
expecting the vlogs. Like find a place where you can speak freely
Yeah.
and feel like you're heard.
Yes.
And then one is with breastfeeding. I
Yes.
feel like there's so much talk about breastfeeding, like the baby weight will melt off when you're breastfeeding, blah, 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 blah. I found that I did not feel like myself until I stopped breastfeeding.
I agree. I totally agree.
Right when I stopped breastfeeding, like a
Yeah.
month later, I lost like
Yeah.
all the baby weight without doing anything.
Yep.
And I also felt in my head, like I felt more familiar with myself.
Yeah,
I don't know
for
if
sure.
it's the hormones
I think
or
it
what
is
it
the
is.
hormones for
but
sure.
it was almost like a fog. I kind
Freeing,
of came
like-
out of a
yeah.
fog and I was like, oh,
I'm okay again. Yeah.
And I feel like
And we're
people
not
don't-
like encouraging people to stop early. Like everyone should do what's right
yes,
for them.
and I love breastfeeding. I would
Yeah,
do it again, but
totally.
I kind of had this, we learned so much about it at school
Yeah.
and dietitian stuff. And I was really excited for it and
Yeah.
prepared. And I just felt like I didn't take into account that all had
was, like,
continuing
on
as
you.
you know, you have a lot of hormones when you're
Yes.
pregnant, you have a lot of hormones
Yes.
when you're nursing. And for me personally, I just felt like really
Yeah.
different after I stopped.
Yes.
So
I would also add one more thing about like the partner in your relationship. Like for example, like my husband, like it was actually hard for him to like know what I was going through, to help me, especially in the nights. And like there can be like resentment that builds up.
For
and like,
sure.
please know that that's normal. It's not going to be forever. Like you and your partner are probably still fine together, but it's
you're
just,
still gonna like hate them
for a while.
Yeah. or
And
like
then it-
many moments during the day. You'll be
Yes,
like,
like what, and they like, and it looks like their life seems easier than your life at
Yeah.
the time. But I think it, like, as your kids get older and they're just, it's a totally different dynamic. And so
Hang in
just
there.
hang in there. All right. Question
Okay.
2.
how do I convince my partner to move to Europe? I want to live abroad so bad, but he isn't very interested and always brings up the logistical issues, major cultural differences, and how our 3.5-year-old would adjust.
Okay. This is something that I definitely have experience
Yes.
with. So I just never imagined living abroad. Like, I mean, I guess I imagined at some point, but it was so far from like the forefront of my head with like, at the time when we were talking about it, my children were 3 and 5. And I thought like, this is crazy. Like it was never. And my husband was like, I think we should move abroad. Like, I think it would be so awesome for our kids and et cetera, et cetera. And he was always like, he would say this, and then like, I think he kind of eased me into it, because when he first said it, it's like, and then he let it process for about a week. Cause I was like, he's insane. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just like, we are not on the same page, but like, whatever. I'm like, maybe he'll just like move on. And then he kind of ease in with like, I don't know, he'd send me some like beautiful pictures of like a beach in Europe, cause he knows I love beaches, and be like, looks kind of awesome, you know, just like little things. And I'm like, okay. And then like slowly and slowly, I think it was a long sell, I would say, for me. And not because I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible, but I was scared of the same things that this person wrote in on, like major cultural differences. Like, how are my children going to adapt? Mm-hmm. None of us spoke French, which seems like insane to even be like, you know, you're going to move somewhere where you absolutely have no knowledge of the language. But like, I kind of eased into it. And I would say like, now, like, it's probably honestly been, it's almost a year, like probably one of the best years of my life. And I feel like we've also given such a gift to our children. Mm-hmm. Like, kids adapt so easily and quickly. And I was not expecting this. Even like, I just had no idea that like my children would learn French faster than me. Like, if someone had told me that, I'd be like, what? Like,
kids learn so fast. And you said your child was 3.5.
Yes, she's 3.5, and she started school about like almost 4. And now like she comes home and like, I mean, she's just basically, she plays dolls in French. She talks to me in French. She calls me maman instead of
so cute
mama, which is the French way of saying it. And so I think like, if you can help your partner like get there in just little ways, but know it might be a long sell and there might still be fear, but anything you can do to like help mitigate some of that fear. Like, we started taking French classes together so that it helped me like feel less anxious about the language. So I think it's totally possible. And I do think it's like worth it if you guys can both somehow get to like the mindset that this is going to be a family adventure. And I think the other thing that helps is like, just say it's like, to start like 1 year, because you can always play it by ear. Like, I was like, okay, 1 year, I can get through 1 year. And that was like literally in my head. Like, I'm like, okay, I can get through 1 year. And now I'm like, get through 1 year. This has been an amazing year. You know, like, I don't want it to end, and we've decided to stay for longer. So that would be sort of my advice. Like, you know, do it in sort of increments of selling in, you know, do little things to help mitigate the fears, and approach it maybe in like a condensed time frame, so that you're not coming back like thinking this is the rest of your life, and that is overly scary.
I think that's really good advice. And I also think if you can spend a little bit of time where you're hoping to go, just so that your partner
that really helped. That's a good point. That really helped
feel a little more comfortable. And obviously there's a huge difference between being on vacation somewhere and living there. But like for me, I didn't ever go to Europe until I was maybe I was 20.
Okay.
And I visited my friends in Barcelona who were studying abroad. Okay. And I just had like no idea about, I had never wanted to live abroad until that trip. Wow. And then I was like, I have to live in Europe at some time. I just felt it just awesome. Felt more like me. And so I think if you could get your partner, maybe you've already visited, but if you could get your partner in a situation like rent an Airbnb, stay somewhere, and don't treat it like a traveling vacation. Treat it as like a living vacation where you
totally do
kind
local
of like
things.
Do local things and see what it's like. And I think like the other thing is if your partner is really firmly closed and there's no changing their mind, I don't know if I think it's probably for a reason. I think it can be really hard. There's so many hardships when you move abroad that if you don't have the if you're not open to it, it can be like too overwhelming, and then they just have a bad experience. And I think this can actually affect your kids more than bringing them abroad, because when they see their parents unhappy, I think it's a harder situation. But when the family feels good, I feel like the kids really follow suit. And 3.5 is really young for this woman. So
yes, agree. And I completely agree with what you said. Like and my husband kept giving me an out. Like if I had never been okay with it, we weren't going to go. Like, and even like
great
if you
husband.
Well, I mean, I think it was more of a selling tactic maybe, but I don't know. No, I'm just joking. But anyways, yes. So if your partner's not necessarily like on the same page, we have seen situations, I think, of families where one partner ends up being kind of miserable, and then that ends up being on the child. And so I do think if they're a little, even like, you know you're probably not going to get there, it's probably better not to
And
go.
maybe you can find a balance where
Yeah,
like
maybe you like come
you
for a month in the summer if you
Yeah.
can get the time away. So yes.
Okay. So our next question is advice on moving on from someone who wasn't right for you, but you still got attached. I feel like this happens
It's
to everyone.
everyone at some point in their life, for sure.
Multiple times. I
Yes.
feel like it's hard not, especially as women, I feel like it's easy to get attached. And sometimes maybe it's not attached to the person, but more the idea of the person.
Yes.
And yeah, it can be hard to move on. Do you want me to start with my
please.
advice?
Yes.
So for me, I think personally, the best thing is distraction. You know, like when you're not seeing, I just remember like when I lived in my little studio in New York City, like sometimes you get like bummed out about someone and you don't really feel like going out and doing stuff. But if you can just like, even if it's like treating yourself to a gym class, going to brunch with your girlfriends, going to like watch reality TV, like just doing things with your friends and keeping off of your phone.
Yes.
Because when, you know, the phone, like waiting for the text, like
totally.
It's the right person, it's going to be easy. There's not going to be waiting. It's just going to
feel more natural.
It's just going to feel natural and it's going to work. So I think like little distractions to get you through that, especially
that really
hard time where you're just like constantly thinking about it. Just get your mind off of it. If you keep overthinking about it, get up and go for a walk.
Yeah,
like, just
totally.
Take a cold shower. Honestly, like anything to distract your
that.
mind. And then it gets easier. And, you know, I just feel like looking back now, like I feel like I went on a lot of dates before I met my husband. And I'm so happy that I ended up not like continuing anything with any of those people because I can't imagine if I had chosen someone differently. Or
for sure.
Like maybe there was someone who didn't choose me and I in the moment would have been like, oh, that's who I want to be with. But like, no, not at all.
No. And I do think like sometimes like for me, it's like you get caught up in like the societal pressure of like, oh, I have to be with this person now because then if I never am with this person, I won't get married. I won't have kids. Like there's like so much wrapped up in it, even if it's, you feel pressure on your age and and it's like, you're also probably, if you were really like in tune with yourself, you would be like, is this even like the right person? But sometimes you don't stop for those questions because you're like, well, it's the person that's here. And then when it ends, you feel like your life is like, what just happened? And I mean, that's what I went through in New York City. And so I was single and 30, which sounds like scary, I think, to a lot of people. But like, my advice would be like, just start like doing different things for yourself as well.
Agree.
Like I started getting really into like, these like, and they were at night, which was like my hard time because I'd got home from work and like, you know, we were living together. So it would be like, he just wasn't there anymore. And so I started going to these like 1.5-hour candlelight hot power yoga classes that were like intense,
I know
but then like
which ones these are
meditative,
because
and
my
they
friends
were
all did
so
these.
good. And I started to get hooked, and it was something like I had never done yoga. Like it was something like so new for me. And I just ended up like looking forward to that instead of sitting home and like being sad. And trust me, it wasn't easy to like get myself to the first couple classes, but then as it became like a new habit, I really like just enjoyed it. And it was something different, you know, that I looked forward to. And then I think you have to just like, to your point, like get yourself like out again. Like it's so hard. Like I did not want to, and I think sometimes it's okay. Like I said, I'm just not dating for a while. And sometimes like, and I ended up meeting my now husband, like,
in one of those
like
phases.
shortly after my 30th birthday, when I was like, I'm just done. Like I'll figure it out. And you know, fast forward now, like 12 years later, and it was the right person. And and I felt that at the time, and just didn't get as caught up in like, oh, we need to do this step and this step and this step. Like things just sort of happen more naturally.
It's hard though. Like when I'm thinking back about like dating in New York City.
Dating in New York City.
Just
like, I know. I get the shivers. So.
Same, like heebie-jeebies. And yeah, it's a tough phase, but you have to go through it. And
and maybe you can look back and laugh at some point, but
we
know right now it's like, you know, just try your best, like distract and
just to hang out with your girlfriends. All of like, you know,
it helps. That's
it
what
helps
I
so
did.
much. And just like even laughing about it and, you know,
it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. 23-year-old American dating a Parisian who is the love of my life. We have been doing long distance, but are hoping to be in the same country soon. How do we decide what country to raise a family in? We are leaning towards France, but I care about my career and am only B1 in French. How do you know when the moment is right to switch jobs and countries? I think it's what I want, but can never be sure. And how realistic is it to find a job that is both French and English speaking?
Okay, you have experience having fallen in love with the Frenchman.
Okay, so maybe this is a little bit calling the kettle black. But I'm not sure I would jump into moving to France, especially based on just being 23 years old and really just starting your career. I just think that it might be better if he can figure out a way to come to the US. Yeah. Maybe that's a better way, just so that you have a little more protection for yourself. Because the reality is it's really, really different working in France. I've never worked a corporate job in France, so maybe you can say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've just seen a lot of women who move to France for a partner and their career takes a huge, huge hit. And I think because you're so young, I guess you could say it two ways. Like you could say you're basically starting your career in France. And if that's something you really want deeply yourself without the partner, I would say maybe go for it. But if it's just in order to be with the partner, I'm not sure I would do it. I think I would stay in the US, establish your career, but figure out what you really want in that sense. And if it's supposed to happen with the boyfriend, it probably will. Yeah. But I'm not sure I would jump ship so fast. And I think the conversation about having a family and kids is probably further down the road in the future. And if you are both in the US and you figure out your career here, I think you could always move to France
for sure
later on. But I just think being that you're on the younger side, it's better to kind of protect yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe this also comes from my perspective is like, I moved and I wasn't able to work. And I kind of put myself in a potentially tricky situation because when you move abroad and you have a child there, if you break up, you are living in France until your child is 18 years old.
Because you can't write the laws
unless the partner writes off their parental right and allows you to move back to the US. Yeah. You're going to be in the foreign country. And when I kind of realized this, it scared me.
It scared you. Yeah.
Even when everything is really good in your relationship, it was just a scary thought to be like, okay, I'm here. I don't have a degree. I have nothing is registered for me in France. Even if I apply for a random job, they're going to choose someone who's French and has gone to the French universities. Then I realized I can't financially contribute for myself. Right. Then I have a French child who was born in a foreign country. And so for them, that's their home. Of course. Whereas like the US was my home at the time, but that's not her home. No. So any judge is going to rule with the French citizen. Yeah. And to keep the child in the most normal thing. And that really scared me. And I honestly think it's the whole reason that it is the reason why I tried to figure out something else for myself, because I was like, I'm never going to feel completely good in this new country unless I know I can take care of
support yourself. Yes.
So yeah, I think, and maybe another way to do it is like if you're going to get like a MBA, that kind of thing, potentially you could do that. Yeah. In another country, because that really would open up more opportunities for you career-wise, because you could do the internships here. But I would really only pull the trigger to move to France now if it's for you and like 75% for you and 25% bonus the guy is there. If it's only for him, I don't think I would do it. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, from the outside, I think moving to another country is like a really big decision. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like if you start out your career and you want to the US just, I also, from an outsider's perspective, like the career opportunities, I think in business, if you're not just in Paris, are actually even harder, I think, sometimes than the options in the US are just, and this is what a lot of French women actually have told me, it's if you want to work for a corporate company and grow your career and you're not in Paris, it's much more limited. Whereas in the US, you can live in so many different cities
and have
so if you're not that happy with even the city that both of you are in right now, there are career opportunities in multiple other cities that might offer more of what you're looking for and still sort of maybe have that same type of European lifestyle in certain cities that you could kind of mimic. So I would also give the same advice. I just think it's probably a bit early at like 23 to be making that move.
Yes. And I also say, like, I had a boyfriend at around that age that I lived with for several years. And I feel like sometimes those first relationships are the ones where you like really figure out who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And then sometimes you move on, sometimes you don't, which is normal.
No,
so
that's fine too.
I think it all boils down to also like if your intuition really tells you like this is the one, this is what you want to do. Of course, listen to those feelings.
Sure.
They're your gut's always right.
I agree.
But if you're like
on the fence,
a little bit on the fence, I would lean towards protecting yourself.
I agree.
At the end of the day, we only have ourselves. Right?
True.
How to make friends as an expat if you don't have kids?
I think there are lots of ways, and not all of my friends that I've made here are from like mom friends.
I totally agree.
Don't you agree? Like there, and in some ways, like there's I would say like a whole world of people that have moved here or to abroad that don't have kids or aren't with a partner or anything. And I mean, like for me, like I met some like friends through French classes, like, and there's lots of different,
French class.
And like, because there's all different types of people that are obviously all trying to learn the language. And so I think that's a good like resource. And then I think like people, I was shocked here because it's just not as big in the US, but Facebook groups, like
I love
such a thing.
Facebook
and I'm
group.
like, what? I'm like, I got off Facebook like a million years ago and only used it like if I was doing a work thing for a client. But but here I'm like, oh, I got to like really be checking the Facebook group because there's so many different people that start groups. Like I have just recently joined like an entrepreneurial, like groups of people in X. And I would say most of them are actually not parents and a lot of them are single or divorced or et cetera. And so it's just a different, it's a totally different group of people, but they were all like still native English speakers. So coming from somewhere that, because my French is not up to the standard, I could relate with. So I think there's plenty. I would not like let that hold you back, because I think there's plenty of other outlets than just being a mother or a father.
I totally agree, and I think it's also like you have to take it like dating.
Yes,
you have to expose yourself. You have to put yourself out there and put yourself in a situation where you're going to meet other people, and then you have to understand you're not going to meet like all of your people right away. They'll slowly trickle into your life. Sure. And sometimes they'll maybe even pop up when you're not even looking. Like my best friend I made in Paris, I was selling a piece of baby equipment on a Facebook group.
Okay.
English speaking moms in Paris.
Nice.
And she bought it and showed up to pick it up. And we were like, it was love at first sight. We went and like got a coffee the next week.
So fun.
So you'll meet your people.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think a question I get all the time, and this just reminds me of it, is like how to make friends with French people.
Oh, yes.
And I think this can be a little bit tough. So if you're coming in and expecting you move somewhere new and you're going to have this whole group of French friends, I think it's probably possible when you're on the younger side, if you're in school together. I think definitely because there's that opening and that shared interest.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of times French people see expats as transient and they're in and out. And unless they've also had the expat experience in another country and know kind of what that's like, they might not be as open to pursuing a friendship with you. And then throw in that like maybe you don't speak the same language. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I do feel like you have to have sort of expectations with that and also understand that it's not that someone might not like you. It's just that maybe they don't feel like they're willing to invest the time into developing a friendship that the person might leave. I think this is a big difference between Americans and French people, because for me, I'm fine to invest in a friendship, even if I know that someone's going to leave, because you never know, like,
who knows what happens
down the line.
What
happens in life. And, you know, but I do feel like French people really look for more meaningful connections, and they're not as comfortable with, they're also a little bit more private. So I think they're just not as comfortable with developing these kind of like shorter type friendships.
Yes. And I think even for me, like my friends that are French have like moved abroad at some point, but they were born in France or like et cetera. And so I feel like that is the network. If you like want to make sure you have like French friends, it's probably ones that have been an expat themselves at some point in their life. And one more thing, I think being open-minded to the type of people you're going to meet, like they may not be like exactly the same type of person that you would have been friends with in the United States, but they're likely like you just have to sort of like let yourself be open-minded and not like judge a book by its cover or where they're from or if their English isn't great or if they're 10 years older than you. Like none of that really matters. Like I think you make friends here that are like just different, but you share some of the same more like values and mindset
Exactly. Yeah, I
versus
agree.
like the exact like I grew up here and they grew up there
Yeah.
and et cetera, et cetera. So be open-minded.
I totally agree. I think that's great advice. This is our last
Okay.
question. Advice on family obligations. My partner and I, not married, but hopefully one day, live about 20 minutes from his parents and an hour from his sister, and my family lives 4 hours away. I can't help but feel resentment for how often we get to see his family, who are mostly lovely, by the way. I also feel like I shouldn't be obligated to spend time with them or prioritize their schedule because we aren't married. Is that too traditional for today's modern relationships? For example, spending Father's Day with his family. I don't always know how to navigate these situations because sometimes spending time with them is draining and I just feel resentment. But I also know that if the situation were reversed, I would expect him to spend time with my family. Any advice on navigating family obligations and time with a partner would be appreciated. Okay, I feel like I have something
Yes,
to say.
please, go.
Just jumping in. I feel like you aren't obligated to spend time with them.
Yeah.
I think for moments like Father's Day, that would maybe be more of a time that
Yeah.
you should go. That would make more sense. Birthdays, Father's Day.
For sure.
Do the bigger kind of events.
Yep.
And if there's a lot of like kind of just randomly popping in, popping out, I wouldn't feel obliged to go every time. If you want to go, go.
Yeah.
But I think it can also be a time where you take a moment for yourself.
Yeah.
Or even for Father's Day, like if you want. I mean, I guess I only just got married, but before we had a child,
Yeah.
at least, I would spend Christmas with my parents.
Yeah.
And like me and my husband weren't together on kind of those bigger holidays. How
Totally.
did you guys do that?
I mean, we hadn't lived near either one of our families.
Okay.
And so I don't have a similar situation. Like we had always lived, when we met, we were in New York City and then we were in San Francisco. So we were never like there, as like we could drive to see our families. But I remember like feeling resentment if like the holidays were always a big thing. Like if we were going to
Gotcha.
go and like fly somewhere for Christmas, like I wanted it to be my family,
Totally. I get it,
which
though,
I get it
know?
too. And I do think, I mean, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but I do think sometimes the woman's family does take priority if it's a priority for that woman.
Yeah. I kind of agree.
I think that's okay too. And
Yeah.
I think it depends. And I think it's just like, honestly, my advice would be like, I know this sounds like planning too much, but we would plan out like kind of the year and be like, if we spend Christmas here, then I want to do like spring break with my parents in Florida
Yeah.
or something. Like
Fair.
I think
good
you have to
advice.
sort of divide and conquer and be okay with it. And maybe it's like, I know a lot of families that switch off every year. Like maybe they do Christmas one family one year and then the next it's the Christmas with the next family, like their other spouse's families. So I just think it's like, you got to communicate about it because otherwise
Totally.
the resentment will build up if you're constantly there and you're just like keeping your mouth shut about it because you're going to start to feel sad and resentful. So
Yeah.
I do think you have to like be really open with your partner on just when and how you're going to manage that.
Exactly. And I think especially because you live very close to them,
Yes.
it's important to work on these boundaries.
For sure.
And if it's your husband is really kind of pushing you
Yeah.
to always be there, I think it can be a good moment
Yeah.
to be like, you know what? I love spending time
Yes.
with your family and I'm happy to come sometimes, but I'm not going to come all the time
Right.
because then when you get down the line and you have kids, if you
Yes.
still feel like you're obliged to
Yeah.
go
it's a
all
bad
these
habit to
places,
set.
I think that can get harder
Yeah.
down the line. So like Kim said, I would be super open with the communication. And another just little thought on the resentment, because when I lived in Paris, we lived very
Yes,
close
by
to
your-
my husband's family and we would see them a decent
Yeah.
amount. And sometimes in my head, I was like, oh, like, like I didn't see my family as much, but I
Yeah.
will say when you live farther away, the time you spend together
It's so
It's
much more
quality
quality.
time.
I agree.
and I think I wouldn't like feel so sad about it because maybe you're seeing his family more often, like every
Yeah.
weekend, but because you see them all the time,
Yeah.
it's not as deep.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
Like, say if you take the car and you decide to drive to your parents' house for Father's Day, like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
so
totally fine to do.
meaningful
And then you have
yeah.
a whole weekend and
For
you're
sure.
really all together. I also think it can be important to make sure to spend time with your family without your spouse sometimes. Does that?
Oh, I 100%
does that sound
agree.
weird?
No, I like my parents visited and literally like I had my husband take the kids and I just wanted like a weekend with my parents.
I think
just
that's
'cause
like
it's
so
a different-
normal to want to.
Yeah.
And like, it's probably good for your husband too to go see
For
his
sure.
family without you
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And so maybe you can go get a little massage or a manicure
Yeah.
or hang out with your friends and
Yes.
he can go see his family. And then it's a win-win for everyone.
Yes, totally agree. So I would say like for now, have the conversation with him, tell him how you're feeling, and you guys decide what kind of works best for you in terms of who sees when. And you don't always have to be together to see the family. They sometimes even, I think that parents maybe just want to see us. Now they only want to see my kids. So
Oh my gosh. This is like a little depressing. Like I am like all about the kids.
it's all about
all
the kids.
about the kids.
Yes, for sure. I think my parents wouldn't even care if I visited them this summer, but
me neither.
as long as I had the kids there. 'Cause
No,
the
do you know what
grandkids are
my mom was even for this summer? She was like, why don't you just send her over for the summer and I'll bring her back a few weeks later? And I was like, she's 4. No.
She was going to send her on the plane alone?
I think she wanted me to
Oh,
fly
to fly her
over
over and then you leave for
me
a while.
head back.
Yes.
Because she just wants her to herself.
Of course.
And I'm like, wow,
I
that's a
can't
great
do that.
idea. I think she'll love doing that in the future, but I'm just not going to do that.
But
for right
it's
now.
funny. We left my kids with my parents, and I would say it's good for them for maybe a few days, and then granted, my kids were much younger, but they're exhausted, and they're like,
yeah.
"Please take the children away," and they don't think that that's going to happen to them, but it does. So. That's not, I would not say like, yeah, go leave them for a month and think you can have complete freedom. It's like, it goes the opposite
I could
way.
literally never leave her.
Oh, I would never either. I'd be so sad, but yes.
Okay. Well, that wraps up
Yes.
our advice for today.
Let us know what you thought. This
Let
is
us
a
know
new
if
format
you guys
for
like
us.
it.
So
We could, I'm thinking maybe we could do like end with one advice or one question during our regular episodes.
totally.
I don't
Instead of
know.
a whole episode. We'll see.
Let us know.
Let us know what you think.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Cuckoo. Bye.